Greetings goobers, welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over how to create a counter app using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now the main focus of this is going to be using the JavaScript to provide functionality to the app. I'm not going to focus too much on the HTML and CSS. As you can see, it's very bare bone, very simple. First things first, to get started, we're going to need three different file types. We need our HTML, which we're going to call index.html, and we're going to need a CSS, we're going to call style.css, and then our JavaScript, which I just like to call index.js. So the main importance about these files is their ending dot notation is going to be declaring the file type. So as you can see with .html, .js, .css, the name doesn't matter a whole lot, but typically standard declaration is going to be index, style, and then I think JavaScript also index, I'm not 100% sure. So firstly, we're going to go over into our HTML file and we're going to use a boilerplate. So if you type exclamation mark in tab, at least in Visual Studio Code, if not, just go ahead and copy this, and I'm going to go ahead and close out the sidebar showing all the stuff that's open. And first things first, we're going to need to link these two files to this HTML file. We're going to go into the header tag of the HTML file and we're going to type in link, enter, and then in the href you're going to type CSS and it should autofill to style.css. Head into the body tag and you're going to type script, head over into the first opener tag, space, type src, enter, and then type js, and that's going to link your JavaScript file. Now if we save all of this, we can change this name to counter app, save it again. If you right click, and if you download the extension called open with live server, you can click on this and it's going to open a live example of the code. So now that we have everything set up, we can start coding. So inside the body tag, we're going to create a div, and I'm going to call this container. Okay, so now that we have the div class of container, we can go inside of this and we're going to make an h1 with the name of counter, just giving a name to our program. So next thing, we're going to need a display that's going to show the output of the counter. We're going to use a paragraph tag. I'm going to set it to 0, and then we're going to give it an ID of counter total, sorry. So after we make the counter total, we're going to go in here, we're going to need 3 buttons. So we're going to type button, and this is going to be plus, and then we're going to, real quick, I'm going to give it the class of btn, so we can style all the buttons the same. So we're going to go 3 of them. And we're going to change this one, I'm going to change to a 0, and I'm going to change this one to a negative. So now we can have a +1, a reset button, and a decrement button. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to give an ID to each one. I'm going to call this plus btn. Just going to copy and paste this. And this one's going to be resets, and this one's going to be minus. Alright, there you are. That's all you're going to need. You're just going to need this simple container div, header, display for the text, and the 3 buttons. Once you have all that set up, we're going to head over into our style.css. We're going to go into the container. So if we do .container, you can say background color, and I'm just going to make it Gainsborough. Next, I'm going to say the width. I'm going to say the width is 50%, and we're going to do text align center. If we wanted to, we can come inside of the whole body, and I'm going to say display flex, justify content center, and then we can say align items center, and that's just going to center everything in the web page. So if I was to stretch this out and drag it, it's just going to center it into the web page. Sorry, there we go. Next up, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of styling to the buttons. So if we come down and we access the btn class, we can say the background color white and border none. And then we're going to say the border radius is equal to 10 pixels. And then if we add a bit of a margin, we can say margin left 20 pixels. And I'm going to say margin right 20 pixels. And just give it a little bit on the bottom. 10 pixels, just to give it a little bit of space. Now it's really small right now. We're going to make this a little bit bigger. Inside of the container, I'm going to say font size is equal to 50 pixels. Just make it a bit bigger. And then in the buttons, we can say font size is equal to 50 pixels. So as you can see, everything's a little bit bigger now, but we're going to need to style this a little bit more because it looks a little wonky. So in the buttons, we're going to say padding 25 pixels. Just make them a little bit bigger. And now again, I'm not making them like this the prettiest thing. I'm mainly focusing on the JavaScript for this one. So I think that'll do for the CSS, just a simple thing, everything works. Next, we're gonna head over into our index.js file, and now we can start coding. So the first thing we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to grab our 4 different aspects we're gonna be utilizing. We have the display counter, the plus button, reset button, and the minus button. So we're gonna make a variable to get all of those things. So the first one is going to be display count total, or no, sorry, just display count. Count total is gonna be another variable we have, but not for this one. So we're gonna say document.getElement by ID, and let's come over here. And as you can see, we have counter total. I'm just going to copy and paste. I'm just going to copy and paste that. And then we're going to say let's add btn equals document.getElement by ID. And then again, we're going to come over here, grab our plus button, put that in there. And then we're just going to repeat this for the other 2 buttons. So if we change this to minus, and then we can change this to reset. And then if we just change these to reset and minus. Oops, sorry, I got this a little bit backwards. Minus and reset. There we go. All right, and as you can see, we have all of our 4 different variables. We need one more, and that's going to be to count a total tally of the amount of counts. So if we say let total counts equals 0, that's just going to hold the total counts in the back, so we can display it as the total amount for that. So if we come down, we're going to start with our first bit of functionality. We're going to say add btn dot add event listener, and then we're going to look for a click, and then we're going to tie a function, and inside of this we're just going to say total count plus equals 1, and then we're going to say the count dot inner text is equal to the total counts. So if we save this and we come over here and we click this, as you're going to see, it's going to change it to 1, and the more we click it, it's just going to increment by 1. So if we click 0 and negative, obviously nothing's going to happen. So if we copy this, we're just going to paste it 2 more times, save it, and so this one we're going to say is the minus btn. We're going to change this to a decrement instead of an increment, and then in here we're going to change this to the reset button. And instead of adding or decrementing anything, we're just going to set it to 0 entirely. So if I save this and we hit the plus, minus, and then if we go negative, whatever, we can hit 0 and it'll reset everything. Pretty simple. Obviously, it's a little bare bone, not much CSS, barely any HTML, and the JavaScript is insanely simple. Just 5 variables and 3 button click events. Super simple. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry it's a little mismatched and jumbled. I've never really done a complete tutorial before, so hopefully I get a little bit better for that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.